Hi, and welcome to VerityHearts. It's Vera. This month's topic is a really big one. So big, in fact, that once I recorded the video, I realized it was too long for a single video, and I have split it into two parts. So welcome to part one of gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is a topic that is close to my heart because I experienced it quite some time ago. I just didn't know there was a term for it. So I'll talk a little bit about my experience, and then I get into the guts of it, which is number one, defining what is gaslighting, what is it that we're talking about, and number two, how does a gaslighter work? What is it that they're doing that is manipulating you and getting you to question your own perceptions and doubting yourself, etc. So watch part one, and then please make sure you watch part two, because part two has got some really useful information for those of us who have been gaslighted in the past, or there might be some people who are actually experiencing some of these things now and just weren't aware that they're a target of something. So part two is, how do you know you're being gaslighted? And then how do you deal with gaslighting? So enjoy part one and make sure you keep your eye out for part two. Now, this is something I was the target of 10 or so years ago in an organisation I was with. And at the time, I didn't know that's what was happening to me. And not just to me, it was actually a few of my colleagues as well. I just thought we had been targeted with some pretty snaky behaviour, undermining, bullying, and it was from someone that was in a more senior position to us. And it was really devastating at the time. Now, being a grown-up, being a professional, my desire was to stay and, sort out the problem. So I tried to persevere and tried different ways to work with, the bully, the perpetrator, giving her the benefit of the doubt, assuming maybe she didn't have all the facts, or maybe she misinterpreted stuff, or perhaps she had been misled somehow by someone. Tried, but all to no avail. There was just no shift in her accusations or her undermining behaviour. And let's be clear, her behaviour was having a really serious effect on the mental health of my colleagues, of me. I could walk into a meeting room and there'd be someone sitting there crying, saying, I feel like I'm being set up to fail, and confusion, just distress, absolute distress. And I felt it too. And eventually the penny dropped, and I realized that, her behavior, someone else's behavior, wasn't something I could fix. I walked away from that job, even though I didn't have another job to go to, and I had never done that before. But I knew that my sanity was more important than allowing that other person, their lies and their manipulations, to impact my life. This was a big, huge learning experience for me. Then a few years later, I had a similar experience. Someone in a position of power tried to undermine my own perception of my emotions and my recollection of events. But interestingly, what I found was that I only recognized their manipulative behavior when I actually paid attention to the response that their actions were generating inside of me. Now, having gone through a similar experience already, I was much quicker to recognize that the issue actually didn't sit with me, but with the other person. And this time I could let go of trying to change that person's behavior and just, I could distance myself from them and leave their issues, leave them alone with themselves. They could deal with it themselves. Then over the weekend, I saw one of those, inspirational quotes that pop up on your Facebook feed. Let me share that with you now. And this quote, this reminded me of those two events. It also put name to the issue, gaslighting. I didn't know there was a term for it, or I knew of gaslighting, but I never connected the dots that what I had experienced was gaslighting. So then that led me to do some research and to grasp what a terrible and damaging problem gaslighting is. So I thought I would write the blog and I would do this video to translate a lot of the research and materials that I went through and translate that into layman's terms so that it can be explained simply, and perhaps it will help you recognize whether that's something you've been through before. Perhaps it might be something you're going through now, and this might help you recognize what it is, how it works, and what you can do about it. Now, gaslighting can happen to anyone, and chances are it has already happened to you. Perhaps you just haven't recognized it. So at best, I think many of us try to think the best of other people. So, we dismiss their behavior, we dismiss their comments, and we say things like, oh, they didn't really mean it, or he or she, oh, they're not that bad, or no, I must be misinterpreting it, right? At worst, we let their lies and manipulations take hold. Now, intentional or not, gaslighting is dangerous. Because when gaslighting is working effectively, it leaves you questioning your own perceptions and your own reality. And the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you can gird your loins against it. So let's start with defining what gaslighting is. And psychologists use the term gaslighting to refer to a specific type of manipulation where the manipulator is trying to get someone else to question their own reality, memory, or perceptions. And psychologists also acknowledge that this is a very serious problem. So how does a gaslighter work? And it's a manipulator. So you'll hear me use those words interchangeably, gaslighter, manipulator, because they are very much the same thing. And the manipulator works on undermining your sense of stability and normalcy. And they make you question everything whilst they keep you dependent on them or frightened of the negative impact that they can have on your life. Quite often, they're projecting their own issues onto you, and they use accusations of those issues against you. They're accusing you of something. And this is done so your focus, your energy, turns into defending yourself, and it takes the spotlight off the gaslighter's behavior. Now, other tactics to watch out for that gaslighters use, they include manipulating and finding other people they know who will stand by them, and then use those people against you. That they'll say things like, well, so-and-so's agree. So-and-so agrees with me. This person also said that they saw you do this, or they recognize that behavior in you. Now, that doesn't mean that these people actually said those things, but it's powerful enough to create even greater doubt in your own mind and further undermines your ability to know who you can trust. And that includes whether you can actually trust yourself anymore. Another effective technique is that they tell other people things about you. They can either be blatant lies, or they'll take something and they'll twist it around. Because the gaslighter knows that if they've sown the seed of doubt about you, then people won't believe you when you tell them that the gaslighter is, manipulating you, gaslighting you. So how do you know if you're being gaslighted?